Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk und Sie sehen schon Interview, neue Firma, David Groberman, er ist CEO und Co-Founder von HeraMed und die haben heute auch einen fantastischen Lauf gehabt, ich glaube 25% plus heute alleine an diesem Tag in Australien, notiert natürlich auch in Deutschland, aber bevor wir genau uns anschauen, was heute das ausgelöst hat, soll uns der David einmal kurz die Company nochmal vorstellen. David, thank you to have time. I say it in my German introduction. You have a pretty good run today, but before we must a little bit understand more your story. Please can us give you a small introduction or a short introduction to your company?
Well, sure thing. First of all, maybe one word about or one sentence about myself. I'm an engineer by trade, a mechanical and biomedical engineer. And has been working as a service provider and consultant to the medical technology industry for almost 20 years now. So it's been a long run. And the story of HeraMed is actually a kind of a personal story, which actually started with my wife being pregnant, and it was our third pregnancy, our third child, and she was considered to be a bit of a high risk pregnancy. Not a very high risk pregnancy, just because she was at a bit more advanced age. She was considered to be a high risk pregnancy, and we just found ourselves going over and over again to the doctor's office or to the clinic. And obviously, you need to find a babysitter because you have other children at home, to schedule and commute, ride, find parking, wait in line. And eventually, in almost all of the cases, all they do is take some basic measurements in order to assess the well-being of the pregnancy and the baby. And then you wait in line again until the physician finds some time to review the measurements. So it just didn't make any sense. And my wife was actually the first one that said, hey, you're an engineer. Why can't we bring something really, really friendly and easy to use? So every pregnant woman can use something like that at home, share the measurements and the information with a qualified medical provider, and not being forced to go through to the hospital and to the clinic. So that was actually the first day that our company HeraMed started.
Mm-hmm. How long is this ago?
So my son turns 8 now. So it was about 8 years ago when the idea started.
Okay.
So anyway, jumping to the future, HeraMed today is a technology and data-driven company developing proprietary and innovative technology in order to enable pregnancy monitoring and pregnancy management at home, while keeping it fully connected and shared with a care manager and a medical service provider that can help and assist the pregnant woman across all aspects of the pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. You have a pretty good run today. Your share price going up 25%. So what was the reason why today is the share price?
So this is our first product, which we'll probably talk about a bit more about that. But this is the HeraBeat Smart Fetal Heart Rate Monitor that works with a mobile phone, and we'll get to that in a second. But yes, today, early morning Sydney time, we announced on the ASX that the product just received the FDA clearance, 510K FDA clearance. And this is after receiving a medical CE approval, in Israeli Ministry of Health approval, Brazilian Ministry of Health approval, Australian Ministry of Health approval. So we've just received FDA clearance, which means that we will very soon be able to start launching commercially the product to the US market. And that obviously had a pretty dramatic influence on the share price today.
Understandable. US is a big market.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe to touch upon that, we've been working for probably 2 years now with the Mayo Clinic, who are today a shareholder and a research and development and a clinical partner collaborator of HeraMed. And the Mayo Clinic, for those who are not familiar, is considered by many the number one hospital or healthcare provider in the US and in the world. And we've been working very closely with them in the recent year or so in order to further develop this technology together with our entire platform for pregnancy, which we call the HeraCare platform. So we really believe that together with them and with additional commercial and clinical partners that we are in discussions with in the US, our launch to the US should be very successful.
Mm-hmm. So to understand the product, your product is online monitoring pregnancy from home, not go to the doctor, is this is the key product, and now it's more about rollout, bring it to the market. Is it good definition?
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment. I would just like to clarify that, we're not stating that we're going to replace the doctors at all.
No, it's a collaboration with them. So you need 100%. The doctor, but
we're working.
The ways to go to the doctor, waste time, you're waiting in the hospital and so on, and this is much better, especially for a pregnant woman when they can do it from home and not always driving around.
I couldn't agree more. So look, today the healthcare industry in general is going through a tremendous transition when a lot of these, for example, chronic diseases, heart diseases, respiratory diseases, obviously diabetes, everything is moving towards home care. And everybody today obviously understand the huge advantage of the ability to move from something who is visit and clinic centric and episodic and being completely reactive to a world when you do everything continuously at home and being proactive. So you're not just waiting for something to happen. In pregnancy, even if you have a very, very good insurance and a very good health system, you see the doctor for, let's say, once a month. Later on throughout the pregnancy, when you're moving to a more advanced gestational age, you see him once every couple of weeks and then maybe once a week. But what happens throughout this time between meeting to meeting? So you just kind of, everything is okay, perfect. But what happens if there's a complication or a risk involved? Then you're actually waiting at home with no ability to know what's going on with your pregnancy and the health of your baby. And you, God forbid, waiting for something to happen. So our comprehensive pregnancy management and measurement tools allows the expecting mom to do something which is continuous and ongoing and being proactive when at the first stage, when everything is okay, perfect. She's at home, she's reassured, she's relaxed. It's much more healthier for the pregnancy and for the baby, for the expecting mom to be relaxed and reassured and just run an ordinary, regular life without the concerns and the anxiety and the need to go to the doctor or to the hospital. But on the other hand, if there is a sign for a complication or something going wrong, you can potentially have these much earlier than what you have today when you're actually just waiting for something to happen. Now, our system, it all begins with this proprietary device, which has been proven throughout multiple clinical trials, bench testing, and commercial experiments to be as reliable and as accurate as the most sophisticated professional systems that cost around between $5,000 to $10,000. We are as accurate and as safe and as reliable. Only you do it at home by the expecting mom, the layperson, with no need for prior experience or understanding. And on top of this, we're building an entire platform which enables her to manage all her needs for the pregnancy. So it involves additional measurements, which the medical community really needs. For example, blood pressure monitoring, temperature, weight management. And obviously, all the information is gathered in a single point and managed by a care manager that reviews all this data and reviews the expecting mom's engagement with the platform and just make sure that everything is in place and as expected. On top of that, we're providing them with healthcare, health education about the pregnancy, recommendations about nutrition, about exercise, about being calm and being engaged with the pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So it's a one-stop shop for all the things that she needs to know and do during her pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. One question to the technology, how you can secure the technology, so patents and so on. Do you have, how's this looks like?
That's a perfect question. And a perfect question is a very good question, which I have an answer already.
Okay.
So it's heavily protected by more than 13 patents that are currently in process. Some of them are already in the national phase and in the final phases. So it's still patent pending, but it's more than 13 patents that everything to do with the algorithms and the hardware and the user experience, which are very, very unique. And we obviously keep on developing new technologies and new algorithms, and we keep protecting them by more and more patents. Mm-hmm. And usually we submit our patents in the US, Europe, Israel, Australia, and China.
Okay. Coming to the rollout, I think this is as a shareholder very important. It's only that you believe on the technology, is also how the rollouts looks like. So what are the plans here? You are listed since last year, I think in November, December.
December 2018.
Why you go? First question: why you go to Australia?
Yeah, look, that wasn't the first natural selection for a relatively small Israeli startup. But to be honest, it was a group of extremely qualified and happily for us also quite well-funded physicians from Australia. Mm-hmm. That were actually had an Israeli person scouting for them for innovative technologies because they are physicians. They were looking for medical technologies, and they are also searching for something who can really make an impact and a difference. That's their investment strategy. So the opportunity just came. There was a very generous offer for a convertible loan. Mm-hmm. Of about $2.5 million Australian, which was then their strategy and their business advisors. What they usually do is that they provide some funding to the company, but then when they feel the company is ready and about to launch the technology to the markets, then their strategy is take it public on the Australian Stock Exchange. So this is a very different, very interesting experience for myself and for us as a company. Obviously, there's pros and cons, but at this point, I have to say that the reaction of the Australian market has been tremendous and very positive. So we're really, really happy.
Yeah, no, it looks really great. So it's interesting to understand how everything works and how it comes an Australian company to an Australian stock listed and so on.
So we got to your question. The strategy of the company is, look, obviously our end user is the expecting mom. We need the technology and the devices to be used by the expecting mom. But for us, as still a relatively early stage company, the most efficient rollout strategy is that we're partnering with substantial medical entities, hospitals, healthcare providers, insurance companies. Insurance is a very, very interesting potential avenue because insurance companies actually targeting expecting moms and young couples as their prime audience. Mm-hmm. Early in life, about to expand the company, usually very healthy, So they're actually targeting young couples and expecting moms as a prime audience that they want to bring to their network. So we are partnering with such business-to-business avenues, which will help our products to eventually reach to the hands of the end users. And by that, the customer acquisition cost is almost zero for us. All these entities already have the expecting moms in their networks, providing them with services. And now we are giving them an innovative tool that actually enables them to connect with this population on a completely different level. So the idea is that it's going to be a service-based model on a monthly retainer or a monthly subscription, where the expecting mom is going to receive all the tools, all the measurements, and the platform and the app to be used by her at home, paid on a monthly basis, and rolled out by her own hospital or physician or healthcare provider. Now, in many cases, we're working very closely with the insurance companies and governments in order to be reimbursed or at least partially subsidized. So we're not expecting the home user to pay out of pocket, at least not the entire cost. So, for example, in the US, they recently introduced what is called CPT codes, which are the reimbursement codes for home measurements and digital health. So we're definitely working very closely with our advisors and our medical partners in the US in order to hopefully be covered by the reimbursement. In Germany, I've just read several articles that digital health, there was just recently introduced a Digital Health Act in which the government is going to subsidize a lot of these digital home care solutions as long as they prove to be safe and efficient and with a medical value. They're going to subsidize that. So this is our rollout and our approach.
Okay, to qualify a little bit more for us. So what is the first market you will go, the second, the third, what timeline is, what we can expect, so that, especially for a smaller company, it's really tough. You cannot do everything around the globe, it's not working. Then it's the main power is not there, so you must be focused on something. So what is the first market you will go, and then the other ones?
We are already live and we are in the market, and we're currently already started sales in Israel, obviously, in Brazil and India, where we have extremely interesting partners who are actually in Brazil. We have partnered with a company called Hapvida, who is a very substantial insurance company and healthcare providers. They have about 100 hospitals, and they cover a population of about 8 million people. Wow. So we've partnered with them, and we've already rolled out a pilot for about probably almost a year now of several hundred devices, and we're now continuing to roll out for the next stages. In India, it's a very similar approach where we've, together with an agent, a local agent, we're not doing all the work by ourselves. You need people on the ground who are really familiar with the culture and with the country. So our agent has been able to just recently sign an agreement with a very substantial hospital chain there. So India, Israel, Brazil. We just announced about a couple of months ago that in Germany, we've signed a distribution agreement with a pretty substantial company called Dattenhofer, who has originally came from the consumer electronics world, but has making a lot of transitions and focus on moving towards the medical technologies and specifically digital health and home care approach. So we're working together with them now in order to expand our offering and partner with these healthcare providers, hospitals, medical entities, and insurance companies. On top of that, obviously, the Australian market is very important for us, being an ASX listed company. And our major focus next year, obviously now that we have FDA, is going to be the US. So if I would say the focus in Europe will be Germany first, potentially expanding to the UK, Israel, Brazil and India with our extremely qualified partners there, Australia and the US.
What we can expect from the revenue side? You say they have a monthly subscription base. We know exactly a pregnancy takes normally 9 months. What we can expect?
Look, I'm getting used to being a CEO of a listed company, so I need to be very careful. On the ASX, there are strict rules about early stage companies making some revenue estimations and projections. What we definitely can say and share is that the cost for the end user, the cost per month for the entire solution, including the devices, including the app, including the service itself, is between $70 to $100 per month. Now, as I said before, we are expecting substantial reimbursement and subsidized by the government, but eventually the cost will be, let's say, around $100 per month. So if you think about an average use of about between, let's say, 4 to 7 months on average. So the revenue per user potentially is somewhere between $400 to $700. And our strategy and the way that we work with our partners is that usually we split the cost about 50% for us as the company providing all the technology and all the instruments, and about 50% to the local service provider. Now, in terms of numbers, you can just general numbers who are obviously public. In the US, you have about 4 million pregnancies a year. In the EU, you have about between 5 to 6. Obviously, India is a huge country with the number one pregnancies in the world, over 30 million a year. In Brazil, you have about 3 million. So it's a very, very substantial market. Overall, worldwide, the average, according to multiple sources, is around 200 million pregnancies each and every year. And the very interesting aspect about our market is if you compare it to any other chronic diseases, our market is a renewable fountain, because each and every year you have a new 200 million potential users going into the market. So on one hand, it is a challenge when it comes to marketing and so forth, but on the other hand, you have a completely new pool of people going into the market each and every year.
Is it more a renting model that he can give the devices after the pregnancy back, or is it that he have this device then at home after the pregnancy? Or
look, we obviously, for those who prefer to purchase the device and own it and use it for the next pregnancies, we do give them this opportunity. But our model and the way that we believe is the best and most efficient for everyone is a service model, is a service on a monthly basis. When you rent actually the devices and the service, and you get everything for about $100 a month. And when the pregnancy is finished successfully and you have a baby, you return everything. We just check that everything is okay. We clean it. We make sure it operates at the highest level that is possible, and then we turn it into circulation.
One very important question: competition. Do you have any competition?
Look, we should have competition, because if not, then probably the market is not interesting.
That's right.
Luckily for us, we really believe that we've been able to put up a device, to bring a device and a technology who is extremely unique and has been really designed from the bottom up to be used by the layperson at home, while offering this total connectivity and seamless connectivity with the healthcare provider. So in terms of the solutions that you can find, or competition that you can find out there, It's either a very professional devices that usually cost thousands of dollars and can practically only be used by a physician or a midwife, and also regulation also only allows a professional to use them. And obviously, no normal pregnant women will spend $10,000 on a home device. And on the other hand, there are some very, very low quality, I would call them almost toys, no disrespect, but almost toys that just gives you an opportunity to listen to some sounds in your belly, in your abdomen. We are a medical device that has just been FDA approved, CE approved by BSI, the British Standard Institute. We're working with the medical community, with hospitals, so we bring a genuine medical value, very accurate reading, very reliable reading, and obviously the entire solution which enables the healthcare provider to actually review the data, review the measurements, and provide a professional analysis.
David, to summarize a little bit, so first you have a device where you can monitor the pregnancy of a woman. So that's the first, from home with cooperation with a doctor. That's the second is you have now FDA approval. We see it in the share price today. Nice move. You have established a network in Brazil, in India, biggest market worldwide, in Australia. Your plan is also to roll out to Germany and UK, and with the FDA approval, what you get now is also next year US.
Correct.
So this is a thing. Do you working on other products? Do you have something in the pipelines, or what's how
sure.
This looks?
So look, the product that we call HeraCare is this comprehensive solution which will enable healthcare providers and insurance companies and everybody else who are interested in the pregnant domain or pregnant sector to offer their services based on our solution. So it's an entire platform which involves the clouds and the care manager dashboards and the app and the other devices. This is currently in a relatively advanced stages of development and planned to be rolled out early next year. On top of that, we're working on the next generation of this device, although that it is a very professional, accurate, and very innovative device. We are already working on the next generation because, you know, things move so quickly in the electronics industry, and things are getting better and better. And the computing capabilities of the microcontrollers and all the technology is just getting much, much better. So we're working on the next stage of this device, which we call it the Echo Beat. This one is the HeraBeat. The next generation is called the Echo Beat. And we are also working with the Mayo Clinic, our research and development collaborators. We are also working on a machine learning AI algorithms that will eventually be able to gather all this immense data and measurements from all the devices that we've mentioned, and from all the additional information that she can provide us with using the smartphone app and the healthcare provider. Eventually, it will all go to an algorithm, an AI machine learning algorithm that can analyze all this unbelievable amount of data and bring an actual analysis with the algorithm. So today, you know, everything will still need to go through a manual process where a professional will need to review the data and come up with their interpretation and analysis on the results. But the future is talking, well, definitely it's going to be step by step, but eventually the goal of the company in the future is that we're going to have a software actually doing all the analysis, at least as good as a physician. And obviously with the software, it's always there. It can analyze endless amount of information. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't need to pay, you know, specific attention now when she might be bothered with something else or there are other patients waiting in line. So it's always there to protect and to be there for the expecting moms.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any plans in a really far future to going also outside of the pregnancy market?
Look, we are very focused now. It's a perfect question, really good one. And we do believe that our technology, both the hardware as well as the software elements that we're developing, can definitely be later on considered or be adequate for other chronic diseases or other physiological body experiences. But at this point, we believe that it's a blue ocean. The pregnancy market is the low-hanging fruit. There is a major need in the market from both the expecting moms as well as from the medical industry or the healthcare industry. And therefore, we really believe that there's so much potential in the pregnancy sector that we want to focus on that for the next few years at least.
Okay. So my last two questions. First question is what we can expect on the news flow side in the next 6 months.
I would say an acknowledgement from the medical community, hospitals, insurance companies, telemedicine providers. So this is our target now, to partner with such entities in order to expedite and increase rollout. So this is number one. And number two is an ongoing development updates of the next generations and the solutions that we've just elaborated on. So ongoing updates about, adaptation, pilots, the technology being ready, doing clinical trials on the technology, and so forth. And obviously, hopefully, ongoing ramp up of revenues. But this is still early, but we believe and very confident that it will arrive.
My last question is shareholder structure. How many shares are outstanding? Are the biggest shareholders and so on?
So the three biggest shareholders are myself. I'm a co-founder in the company, and my business partner, who is also the COO of the company, Tal Slonim. And back in 2015, we received a very substantial investment from a Chinese strategic pharmaceutical company called Holy Pharma. And we are in discussions with them, by the way, about a potential rollout in the next future in China as well. Mm-hmm. And probably we are together the three major shareholders. Obviously, today, the Australian investors are a substantial part of the company, about 50 to 60%. And in there, we have several funds, several substantial brokers, and obviously the public.
Mm-hmm. Okay. David, thank you for the first introduction. Hopefully we can do it in 3, 4, 5, 6 months again, so they can see what's really happened with the news flow and how the company developed. Thank you for the first introduction. It was really a great one.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much, and definitely would be happy to follow up when we're going to have some substantial news in the near future.
Perfekt. Ja, erste HeraMed. Was geht's? Im Prinzip Online-Monitoring einer Pregnancy, also einer Schwangerschaft. So, jetzt fällt mir das deutsche Wort auch wieder ein. Und zwar, ich bin ja selber Vater von 2 Kindern, man muss ja dann dementsprechend zum Arzt fahren, das gehört monitort. Und im Prinzip ist es so, dass man dort eigentlich die meiste Zeit nur wartet. In anderen Ländern ist es sogar noch extremer, da muss man halt ins Krankenhaus fahren. Krankenhaus ist unbedingt nicht das beste Umfeld für eine Mutter, weil Mutter ist ja im Prinzip nicht krank. Im Krankenhaus finden sie aber sehr viele Kranke und dementsprechend auch sehr viele Viren. Dementsprechend ist es gut, wenn man eigentlich das Ganze zu Hause machen kann. Es ist auch viel entspannter. Und genau das macht quasi HeraMed, hat ein kleines Device entwickelt. Sie können sich auch kurze Videos anschauen. Ich werde unten auch ein Video einblenden, so ist ein Minuten-Video, wo Sie sehen, was das Device macht. Das heißt, sie überprüft vor allem den Herzschlag und so weiter. Und diese Daten werden dann sozusagen an den Doktor übermittelt, damit der dann sozusagen sieht, ob alles in Ordnung ist. Und man spart sich damit den ganzen Weg hin und her. Und für den Doktor ist es natürlich auch viel einfacher, weil der muss das halt nicht genau in dieser Minute machen, sondern kann sich halt einmal eine Stunde Zeit nehmen, ob das am Vormittag ist, Nachmittag, wann auch immer, und kann sich diese Daten anschauen und liefert dann dementsprechend ein Feedback. Also von der Grundidee sehr interessant, ist alles mit Patenten abgesichert, war auch ein wichtiger Punkt. Competition ist auch eine sehr wichtige Sache. Entweder gibt es die ganz teuren Sachen, die Tausende von Dollars kostet, oder es gibt dieses eher spielzeugartige Teil, wo man quasi nicht wirklich zwar irgendwas hört, aber nicht wirklich das nachvollziehen kann, ob das wirklich auch Daten sind. So, heute hat der Aktienkurs einen sehr, sehr starken Move hingelegt. Das liegt vor allem auch daran, weil sie FDA-Approval bekommen hat und jetzt sozusagen die Aktie oder das Produkt auch in den USA ausgerollt werden kann. Kommen wir gleich zum Rollout. Australien ist der erste Markt. Warum auch Australien? Sie sind gelistet auch in Australien. Sie haben sehr starke Aktionärsbasis in Australien. Sie haben auch sehr starke, viele Erste, die da was investiert haben. In die Company jetzt nur großer Aktionär sind, haben sie sozusagen eine große australische Aktionärsbasis und auch Kundenbasis, deswegen ist Australien im Fokus. Brasilien haben sie eine sehr, sehr starke Kooperation mit einer Insurance Company, mit einer Versicherungsgesellschaft, die aber auch noch 100 Kliniken betreibt und dadurch ein idealer Partner ist in Brasilien. Sie haben in Indien eine gute Partnerschaft, die dort der Rollout ist. In Europa wollen wir sich konzentrieren auf Deutschland und UK. Das sind die größten Märkte, dass man dort dementsprechend reinkommt und natürlich nächstes Jahr USA. Das ist der Rollout-Plan. Wir sind jetzt in der Startphase, er kann nicht wirklich sagen, was da an Umsätzen rauskommt. Das Einzige, was man sagen kann, ist ungefähr zwischen 400 und 700 Dollar, je nachdem, kommt bei einer Patientin raus, die das Produkt zwischen 4 und 7 Monate nutzt. Das Produkt wird dann quasi wieder zurückgegeben, sie reinigen es, kontrollieren es, ob es alles funktionsfähig ist und geben es sozusagen dem nächsten Patient weiter. Also das Produkt behält sich nicht die Patientin zu Hause. So, das ist ungefähr der Plan. Langfristig arbeiten sie ja auch an KI, also dass man Machine Learning, damit man die ganzen Daten quasi auch aufbereitet. Der Algorithmus sieht natürlich leichter, wenn er diese ganzen Daten auch sieht, ob es irgendwelche Probleme geben kann dann natürlich auch einen Arzt unterstützen und das ist eigentlich da auch der Weg hin. Sie arbeiten mit der Mayo Klinik zusammen in den USA, die ist relativ bekannt, ich habe schon mal gehört, auch wenn ich nicht so viel mit Krankenhäusern in den USA zu tun habe, aber die Klinik ist mir auch bekannt und da ist eine sehr, sehr starke Partnerschaft. Aktionärstruktur, er ist einer natürlich der größten Aktionäre mit seinem Co-Founder, dann haben sie einen chinesischen Pharmaunternehmen dabei, die auch möglicherweise ein Partner ist für den Rollout in China und natürlich ihre australischen Aktionäre. Wie gesagt, die Company ist jetzt auf dem Sprung, den ganzen Rollout zu machen. Ich habe gefragt nach einem Newsflow, was können wir die nächsten 6 Monate erwarten. Da werden vor allem natürlich Daten kommen von Partnerschaften, Kooperationen, Rollouts, hoffentlich auch dementsprechend Umsätze, die Sie dann prognostizieren können. Das ist die eine Schicht und die zweite Schicht ist dann vor allem auch, Sie machen natürlich jetzt schon, entwickeln sich die zweite Phase Ihres Devices und das soll dann dementsprechend auch, da werden Newsflow kommen. Also man sieht es auch, wie die Aktie heute reagiert mit dem FDA-Approval, das ist schon ein sehr, sehr guter Move nach oben und das ist eigentlich in Kürze die Story. Und bin gespannt, was sie da tut. Wir werden jetzt die Nachrichten dementsprechend auch verfolgen. Und jeden Tag wird man nicht 25% zulegen, aber es wäre schon nicht schlecht. Also viel Potenzial hat die Aktie auf jeden Fall noch. Das war's von HeraMed was haben wir heute? November 2019. Tschüss und Baba. David, thank you for your time.
Sounds like a perfect summary. Dankeschön.
You understand German?
Just a little bit.
Okay.